8 billion people get to be unique in their own style, in their own liking, and get paid and make a living doing just that. Right, show, talk, 16 crore rupees. We've only seen these numbers in Kaun Banega Crorepati. And he made it because he was just really passionate about businesses and case studies. Do you really need $1 billion? I used to think that as well, until I met these billionaires. In the next 30-40 minutes, I'll make sure that you have one insight from this whole talk that you can then go and imply in your own life. Sounds good? Yes. Sounds exciting? Yes. All right, let's get started. I was just like you 4 years ago, going for college events, confused and unsure about what I'm going to do in my life. Well, today I know, and that's what I'm going to tell you in the next 30 to 40 minutes. We'll be talking about things, and I want you to interact as much as possible. This is not some lecture, right? This is not some lecture where I'm going to give you some gyan, you'll be sleeping off all the time. This is more of an interaction. I'll ask you questions, I want you to answer them as well. Cool? Yes. All right, let's go ahead with it. So I made a little PPT for all of you to understand everything in a more better manner. Let's get started. So this is a very typical life cycle of someone who has started their journey. You can relate with it as well. Whenever you used to ask your parents कि मैं मजे कब करूँगा life में, what did they used to say? 10th कर लो, उसके बाद मजे हो जाएंगे, right? So this is a very common theme. So you are born, you are told 10th कर लो, उसके बाद मजे मजे हो जाएंगे. उसके बाद बोलते हैं 12th कर लो, उसके बाद मजे मजे हो जाएंगे. उसके बाद college कर लो, उसके बाद मजे मजे हो जाएंगे. And like, ठीक है, you are expecting it, you are looking forward to the fun in life, right? Job कर लो, उसके बाद मजे मजे हो जाएंगे, and then शादी कर लो, सब, right? But what happens is this. It's a very popular meme that I posted, I think, last year. But it's so true, right? We're always looking and chasing for happiness in the future that we don't have right now. And we are sold on this happiness every single day. अगर आप ये achieve कर लोगे तो उसके बाद आपको happiness मिल जाएगी. अगर आप ये कर लोगे achieve तो आपको उसके बाद happiness मिल जाएगी. But why does this happen? Why do you need to stop and work really hard and then get the happiness that you were promised that you might not even get? So let's talk about this. By the end of this talk, you'll know exactly what you need to do to get that happiness and freedom today. How many of you want that? किसको चाहिए happiness or freedom? सबको चाहिए, right? सबको चाहिए, right? So let's do an activity, right? I'll ask you questions. You will need to identify who these people are. Okay? Let's go with the first one. Who is this person? This is a TikTok creator. She is from the US and her name is Kat Norton. What she did was, instead of learning MS Excel and then working for some service-based company and getting paid 3 to 4 lakh per annum, she changed the script. She used her knowledge of MS Excel, which sounds boring, and made it interesting on TikTok in the US. As a result of that, she launched her courses. This was her website, and she made $100,000 on the first day of launching it. कितना होता है $100,000? 85 lakhs on the first day of launching it, right? I think if you start your career, you're all going to learn about MS Excel. It's a skill that will help you out a lot. But she changed her mindset. Instead of working for some company, she used this knowledge and built her brand and made content and launched her course and got the freedom that she only used to dream about. Sounds fascinating? Okay, let's keep going. This is a news article about how she made 6 figures in a single day. Let's keep going. Who is this person? Ali Abdaal. We've all grown up watching his productivity videos and book reviews and whatnot. Ali Abdaal launched his course, right? Part-time YouTube Academy, which was all about everything that he learned about YouTube. Now again, he could have learned about YouTube and worked for some company and gotten paid minimum wages while he chose to do this. to launch a course and get paid for that. The second cohort that he launched, on the first day, he made $400,000 in a single day. There was another news article about this. $400,000. कितने होते हैं? $400,000. 3.5-4 crore, right? जो बहुत बड़ा number होता है, right? Whatever it is. And this is the mindset shift that I want to talk to you about in the next few minutes. Another example. Who is this person? If you are active on Twitter, you would know who he is. This guy is Pat Walls. He is a solopreneur. What he did was, he was fascinated about online businesses. He was just really curious about how people start and grow their businesses online. So again, he could have become a business analyst and worked for some company. He chose to start making this website called as starterstory.com, and he started coming up with case studies of businesses which were started from scratch and grew to hundreds and thousands of dollars of revenue. Very simple. He was just being an article. He was uploading articles every single day about how these companies grew. As a result of which, he was able to make $2 million in lifetime revenue. How much is that? 16 crore rupees, right? We've only seen these numbers in Kaun Banega Crorepati. And he made it because he was just really passionate about businesses and case studies. And what he did basically was, you can sign up to his website, you can pay a particular amount, और आपको सारी business case studies मिल जाएंगी. And you can understand कि आपको अपना business कैसे start करना है. So you get an insight for a fraction of the money that you would take to go and consult at some Big Four company, right? And that is the problem that he solved. As a result, he made $2 million. Let's talk about a few more examples. Who is this person? So this guy is Peter Levels. He is a nomad solopreneur. Again, what he does is, he's very active on Twitter, and he, in 2017, made a choice that for better or for worse, I'm going to leave my job and write code and launch a product every single month. Every month, all he would do is build a product and launch it. Get users for it, get paid for it, and see if it actually has product market fit. If it does, he would grow it more. If it does not, he would scrap, go to the next idea. He currently makes $2.7 million a year, which is again a lot of money. He has zero funding, zero employees, zero overhead. He is just one person who used the internet, who was curious about building, and that's how much he makes. He is traveling around the world and he is able to live this life. Now, I want to ask you, what is common here? In सारी ही life stories में क्या common है? Taking risk. What else? They work on their own. Unconventional path. MS Excel सबको आता है यार. It's not unconventional. Videos कोई नहीं बनाता. Yes. Following passion. They were all a one-person business. They were all a part of this movement wherein it's just you and you're automating every other part of your business. And so that you don't have a liability, right? आप Infosys में जा रहे हो, नारायण मूर्ति के अंडर हजारों लोग काम कर रहे हैं, right? He has enormous liability, right? आपकी सैलरी पे करनी है, अगर कोई क्लाइंट नहीं आया तो सैलरी फिर भी पे करनी पड़ेगी, right? That is a liability. These people do not have that. They have very few things that they pay for. It's a high margin product, and they're able to take home a lot of money with this business that they start. And that's what we'll be talking about in the next few minutes. Now, you might have seen this. Now, I know, I'm not going to ask you who this person is. You've all seen people who've built billion-dollar companies, right? This is Mr. Lizard right here. Then you have this person, Bill Gates, who was known as the most evil businessman in the 1990s in the tech world. And they were all building huge companies, right? And you've heard these stories all the time. Ritesh Agarwal building Oyo, all these other founders starting from scratch, building a business and scaling it to billions of revenue, right? But ask yourself, do you really need to do that? Do you really need $1 billion? Yes? You know, I used to think that as well until I met these billionaires and I realized how hard their life is. They're lonely. Very few people can relate with them. They have a lot of overhead. They have a lot of scrutiny. ये जो photo थी ना, Mark Zuckerberg की, he was invited in a Congress hearing. Right? The government wanted to regulate his company. The next picture, Bill Gates, he was regulated as well. Windows and Microsoft was divided in the 2000. He was forced to resign from his own company because of the unfair trade practices that they were a part of. Do you want to be this person? While it might look great, isn't it better to be someone like this? Nobody knows who you are. And you're making a lot of money doing so. Right? So the idea of how much money do you really need needs to be discussed about. So just ask yourself, how much money do you really need? And you realize you won't need more than $10 million. To live the life that anyone lives to their fullest, you do not need to make more than $10 million. And ये बहुत बड़ा amount बोल रहा हूँ मैं. You don't need a lot of money in India to survive especially. So understand that first of all. Does that make sense? These people are building big businesses, but they have too much trouble when they are building that as well. There's no need to build that. You need to become a solopreneur so that you have a hobby, which could be MS Excel, it could be Bumble, it could be anything, right? It could just be something that you're really passionate about. And you are there making a living with that. Make a living doing what you love. That is the slogan for today. Let's try to understand how does that happen. So here's another life story. You are born, you do something, and you get freedom. What is that something? That is what we'll talk about in the next few minutes. How do you get to become an Ali Abdal or a Kat Norton or a Peter Levels? How do you have the freedom to travel the world and make a living doing what you love without having liabilities, without having employees to pay the bills for? Make sense? Okay, let's keep going. This is called as the 5-step solopreneur framework. I'll talk about it in depth. I want you to take notes. This is not some motivational talk जहाँ मैं आपको बोलूँगा कि आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. I am giving you practical step-by-step things that you need to do today to get to become the people I've just shown you in this pitch deck. Okay, that's me. I was very interested in programming in 2020. I loved software development. How many of you want to become software developers? A lot of you, right? It's just fascinating. You can write a piece of code, you can change it, you can instantly see that happen on the website. It's brilliant. I was obsessed with code. I found a way to make a living doing what I love without being a software developer. I was working with an academy for a year teaching school students about code. So I would just talk about Python, I would talk about full stack development, I would talk about how can you use this language to build simple programs and games, right? I made a way to make a living doing what I love. This is my small team. We went on a holiday last year and this is my company, MarketUp. I love marketing. I found a way to make a living doing that. MarketUp is a marketing agency in which we help people grow YouTube channels. I grew my own YouTube channel to 1 million subscribers. Now I'm going to help you do the same. Again, make a living doing what you love. Wonderful. I just hit 1 million subscribers. This is the things that come with that. I published 2 books as well in the whole process. All the things that I love about. I love about LinkedIn. You can do this too. Nothing to clap about. You should understand what I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes. I published 2 books, one of which is an Amazon bestseller, and it was done all because of my love of understanding businesses and LinkedIn, which I wrote books on. Okay, This is what my numbers looked like 2 years ago. I don't talk about numbers because I don't want to sound like I'm selling them a course, right? One of those people जो सूट पहन के आते और MLM scheme बताते हैं. I am not like that. I don't have anything to sell you. I don't have a course. I don't have any scheme to tell you. I run a business and I make videos on YouTube. That's all I do. And this is what I got to, as you can see on the screen. How many of you want this at your age? Be honest. How many of you want to achieve this? Right? So many of us. Let's find out how to do that. The first step is to find what you love. What is it that genuinely keeps you awake in night? It could be anything. It could be anything, as small as Game of Thrones. How many of you know about Game of Thrones? If you are a die-hard Game of Thrones fan, there is a way for you to make content around that, gather a following who loves Game of Thrones, and just make a living talking about Game of Thrones. How many of you are fans of games like Counter-Strike, PUBG, and all of that? There is a way for you to just talk about that on the internet and get paid doing so. That's the fascinating thing about the internet. There's a very popular quote by Naval in which he says, the internet enables 8 billion monopolies. The internet enables 8 billion monopolies. 8 billion people get to be unique in their own style, in their own liking, and get paid and make a living doing just that. By becoming a solopreneur. Exactly, that's what we'll be talking about. Can be anything, as I just said, right? You just have to ask this question, what problem are you solving? And a problem can be anything for anyone, right? You could be a plumber just making videos on that. And people will watch you every single day. You could be someone who's fascinated about washing machine. I recently shifted to a new house in Bangalore and I got a washing machine. In typical men fashion, did not know how to use a washing machine. And the first thing I did was YouTube. I just YouTubed how to use this Samsung washing machine. I found a man who's in India and all he does is talk about how to use washing machines. That's all he does. And his videos are being watched by lakhs and lakhs of people. He is getting paid through AdSense. Imagine a brand who wants their washing machine to be, made a video on by that person. They'll pay him for that, right? So there is a way for you to make money and make a living by being obsessed about washing machines, right? Could be anything that you're interested in, TV, whatever it is. Who's this guy? MKBHD. 2007, I think, right, is when he started. He was obsessed with tech. Anything. He's reviewing a remote control. He'll be like, remote control के बारे में क्या बात कर सकते हैं? But this guy was so interested and curious about it, he made a video on that. He made 100 videos before he could get to 78 subscribers. 100 videos for 78 subscribers. You have to be crazy for that. You have to be delusional for that. You really have to love that thing for you to not see the results. View ही नहीं आ रहे, कोई देख ही नहीं रहा, subscribe ही नहीं कर रहा कोई. Why are you making the videos, right? But he just did it because he enjoyed it. So find that one thing जो आपको अच्छा लगता है करना. Could be anything that you love talking about. And you can make a living doing that. You are into bonsai trees, make videos on bonsai. You don't know how many people around the world want to know about bonsai trees and how to grow them. All right. You must obsess over it, as I just said. This is a very popular Ikigai framework that you might have seen. It's very important. आप सबने देखा होगा बहुत बार, but आप में से कितने लोगों ने अप्लाई किया है इसको? कितने लोगों ने अप्लाई किया है इसको? Go home and just start writing everything down, right? What do you love? आपको क्या पसंद है? What are you good at? What can you get paid for? What is it that the world really needs? इन सब की लिस्ट बनाओ जाकर घर पे सबसे पहले and find the intersection. You'll genuinely find something which the world needs, which you love, which you are good at, which you can get paid for. And that is the best thing that you should be focusing on. There's an audience for everything, as I just said. You just need to be obsessing over that one thing and just make it for the long term. And you will eventually find your audience. I used to think no one would watch my videos on LinkedIn. I first started making videos about LinkedIn on YouTube. Right? Like, how do you use LinkedIn as a student? Those few videos have thousands of views because I found an audience who's interested in that. तो आप अपना प्लेटफॉर्म चूज करो, उस पर वीडियो बनाना स्टार्ट करो about what you're interested in, and you'll genuinely find people who are curious about that. Right? The biggest misconception we have is that we think that हम unique हैं. जो आप experience कर रहे हो वो आपका unique experience नहीं है. There are thousands, millions of people who are 19, 20, 21 who are having the same experiences that you are going through. And if you talk about that, job कैसे लेंगे, internship कैसे मिलेगी? I made one video which was an interview of my social media job at some startup. I was like, let me record this interview. तो यहाँ पे phone था, यहाँ पे laptop था, and I was just recording that. And there were so many people who were curious about it. Right? You don't know job में क्या question पूछेंगे interview में. Right? You might be anxious, you might be confused, and this video solves that problem. So always ask yourself, what problem is your content going to solve? That's the first question. Okay, there's one quote by Ali Abdal which I keep talking about over and over again, and that is, what's obvious to you is amazing to others. What's obvious to you is amazing for others. हमें लगता है ना था कि यार ये चीज़ मेरे को आती है, but कितना लोगों को आती होगी already? How do you know? Right? What's obvious to you can be mind-boggling for people. I just made a video talking about how I got my first internship at the age of 20. वो video got 2 lakh views. 2 लाख ऐसे लोग हैं who wanted to know how to get an internship. And I was like, ये तो हर जगह लिखा होता है, ये तो सबको पता होता है. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to share your story and what is unique about you. Make sense? Okay, the second step is to get into the creator mindset. Right? Now ये एक बहुत ही interesting mindset है, I think बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं पता होगा. So let's try to focus on this. The creator mindset is to find out what are my own problems. What problems have I faced in the past, and let me start educating people around the same. Right? Could be you. How many of you in the second year? So you've already gone through first year, right? There are so many kids who are in first year who are unsure about how will I manage my time? How will I sleep properly? How do I ask out my crush? Right? Right? अब जागी जनता. So there are so many experiences जो आपने किए हैं, and you can make videos around that, sharing your experiences and what have you learned in that experience. Make sense? So that is the creator mindset. Ask yourself what problems you've been through and how did you solve that, and make a video around that. As simple as that. And you don't even need to make a video. It could be a LinkedIn post, it could be a Twitter tweet, it could be anything. As long as you're putting content out there. Okay. You build authority by posting that content. When you make 100 videos talking about crush, rejection, how to talk to girls, you will build that authority. Right? What was Ranveer Alabadia known for in the past? बताओ. लड़की कैसे पटाएं? Right? What is he known for today? Alien. Spirituality and self-development. Right? So, talk about it. Whatever it is that you're fascinated about, talk about it. Yeti, aliens, talk about it. Okay. Use trends. कितने लोगों ने मोए मोए वाला गाना सुना है? सबने सुना है, right? How many of you thought, let me talk about my own interest and use this trend around it? Right? When she leaves you on red, moe moe. Could be anything, could be anything. This is just a very simple example I'm giving to you. But you need to find a way to use your content and mix it up with trends that you know for sure people will watch. And that's how it works. How many of you know about easy snippet? है ना? समझ गया मैं कौन सी audience है ये. So that's just a great example of using trends and talking about your own content. Make sense? Okay. Write, show, talk. You have to use all the mediums to build a voice online. Build your brand. So ultimately, when you're putting out this content, when you are making use of these trends, you will build a brand for yourself. People know me for freelancing because that's what I've taught people, right? Now, if I make a video on fashion and how to talk to girls, they might not be interested into that, and you have to understand that, right? So you have to find that brand that you want to build, that you want to be known for. And the best way to do that is find out that one word that you want people to relate you with. Productivity, tell me what is the first creator that comes to your mind when you say productivity? Ali Abdal. Exactly, that's the wonderful example. So he built his brand around productivity. That's beautiful. So that's what you have to do. Growth is what you will get from YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and all the other platforms, right? Medium is a great platform if you are into writing. Explore that. No need to show your face. You can just use your skill of writing to attract people. Okay, you get authority by content which is like newsletters, which is books that I published. These events. आपने मुझे देखा होगा YouTube पे videos बनाते हुए, but now that you're able to talk to me, you understand that मैं कोई script नहीं पढ़ रहा हूँ. I genuinely know what I'm talking about, right? So that's how you build authority. And once you have authority, you'll need to productize yourself. You need to. What does this mean, Ishan? Let's talk about that. So this is a very interesting picture. It's basically called ABC. Audience, business model, and content. Find out a way in which you can combine all of these three. आपकी audience कौन सी है, आपका content क्या है, and कौन सा business model makes perfect sense, right? There was a fashion Instagram influencer who used to show her skin too much on Instagram. What she did then was she clicked pictures of herself. She hired developers who would turn her into an AI, right? And there would be a chatbot who would look like her, who would talk like her with everyone who wanted to talk to her. She made millions of dollars by letting people who follow her on Instagram talk to her on her chatbot and pay a $1 per minute fees. $1 per minute. And she made millions of dollars. Just a great example of what you need to understand. This is a brilliant content market fit. She knows what her content is. She knows who the people are who are watching her content, who are liking her, and how can she make a business out of that. Perfect sense. So this is what you need to figure out first of all. Learn how can you productize yourself and your services. Okay. Again, the problems you have, try to build solutions for those problems and charge for it. Charge for the value you create in someone's life. And do that as soon as possible, right? Also know ki who are the people you need to charge to. I understood people who follow me are just people like me, right? I was just like you 2 to 3 years ago. I did not have much money back then. I just did not have money. So I don't even want to charge you because I know it's much better to use my YouTube as a trust engine to sell to companies at MarketUp, which is my agency, right? Everything is for free for you. This growth I've had on YouTube and Instagram, I sell this to corporates and they pay a bank for that because they want the same engagement on their own social media. Brilliant strategy. They have the money, they pay for it, right? Okay. Another very interesting infographic from Naval. You build, you sell, but once you productize, you build once and you sell infinite times. So you have leverage, right, which he talks about a lot. So always think about that. How can you build something once which can be sold multiple times without your involvement? I published 2 books. Both have sold thousands of times and I just focused on publishing that book once. The algorithms, the internet, Amazon, and other things did the rest of the work. So always figure out how can you do this. Another tweet from Levels.io, who's Peter Levels. Always follow this person if you have not already on Twitter. And he talks about if you want to build a service or a product, if you want to productize yourself, build a simple mock-up, build a website, use no-code tools, and launch it and get people to sign up for it. So he's like, add a payment link and get them to pay. The sooner you get them to pay, you know if your business model works or not, right? You don't need to wait for 6 months. You don't need to wait for the time after which you can finally ask something. Just ask for payment on day one itself. And that will tell you if people are really interested in you or not. Okay, the first solution is courses. How many of you have seen Ankur Wariku's ads? Right? He understood how to perfectly sell courses in India. And he made over 70 crores doing that, which is beautiful. What he did was, he used these platforms. There are so many, right? You have Udemy, you have Teachable, you have Moodle, you have Kajabi, you have Thinkific. There are numerous platforms that you can use to host your own course. And then depending on that, you can then start selling it to your own audience, to people who have seen you, who know that you have the authority and the authenticity to talk about something, right? Okay. Second is ebooks. So I personally used Kindle Direct Publishing for the first book that I published. Permissionless. I do not need a publisher to launch my book. I can simply write it on Google Docs, post it on Amazon KDP. They'll just check it once and it is out on Amazon. Amazon makes it available in all the countries around the world. And so if anyone is searching for LinkedIn, they'll find my book right there and they'll purchase it. Right? You don't need to go to anyone. You don't need to do anything outside of sitting in your own room in your pajamas, just writing. And that's brilliant. Another platform is Gumroad. Gumroad is a great platform for you to build a digital storefront. So you build a digital storefront in which you can list all the things that you sell. Could be assets, could be ebooks, could be courses, and you ask people to pay in return for access to that asset. One-on-one calls. Example I just gave. Carol Marjorie was her name who built that AI tool. So there's a tool called as TopMate where people can book a session and they can pay you for that time. If they want your guidance about how to survive in first year of college and how to make a girlfriend, and they want it enough, they'll pay for it. Could be anything. Could be them learning about business from you. Could be them learning about freelancing from you. Could be them learning about marketing from you. And that's TopMate for you. What else? Brand collabs. Brand collabs. Let's talk about that. How many of you have used Notion? Notion. Right? I use it as well. And I started making videos on YouTube and realized that I love talking about Notion. I was making a video about how I use Notion. Again, solving a problem for my first year self. And when I did that, I sent an email to Notion. I was like, I'm making a video on Notion. Would you want to work together and collaborate on this video? What do you lose? Nothing. What do I gain? I get to make a living talking about Notion. And they replied. And I worked with them for the next 2 years making videos around Notion. You can still watch them on YouTube, just search Ishan Sharma Notion. There's no selling happening. You all already know about Notion and you love to use it. And that is the brilliant example of brand collabs. You work with a brand that can add value to your audience's life and you make a living doing that. That's brand collabs. Not the best way to make money, honestly speaking, because it goes ups and down. There were months in which I made zero from brand collabs, but I built a business which goes and works when brands are not coming. So that's how it works. Subscriptions. How many of you know about NAS Summit? Right? It recently happened in Bangalore, Taj Yashwantpur, I think. Right? I went there and I realized something. Access to people and opportunities is valuable, right? You would love to be in the room of people that you admire and you would even pay for it. $70 is what people paid, they're all Indians, $70 for a 5-hour event, and I was there as well. And I got to meet so many people. They were all your age, 20 to 25 at max. And they were interested in learning about business and meet interesting people. So now you know you can actually charge people for access to events and people and opportunities. Sounds good? Okay, let's keep moving. Corporate offerings. This is what I have done. Recently, I gave a talk at TCS. This is a recorded version of it. TCS reached out to me saying, we want you to upskill our labor force, upskill the people who work at TCS. And so I took a 1 hour long workshop over there and they loved it, right? And so just an example of what building authority can get you to. So that's corporate offering. You could be consulting them on AI, on anything that you specialize over. You can also give talks, which I just gave at TCS, and that's how it works. The next one is outsource the rest. You might think that you need to hire a developer. You might think that you need a designer. You might need a sales manager. The reality is you don't. There are so many tools available today that you can optimize and automate everything and just focus on doing what you do best. Okay, let's have a look. Graphic designer, Canva AI. You can also use ChatGPT, you can use DALL-E, you can use Midjourney. There are so many tools with which you can create designs and you don't need to hire a designer on day one. You might hire them later on, but not on day one. Don't keep this as an excuse. Developer, Bubble and Card are no-code tools through which you can build a simple landing page for people to sign up and take a look at your product. Again, you don't need to hire a developer. What else? Sales. Gumroad, I just showed you, along with social. You build authority on social media and you get them to sign up on Gumroad. That's your sales. Copywriter. You don't need to hire someone who writes content for you. You can do it with ChatGPT and Copy AI, right? Wonderful tools. Bard is a great tool you can use. There are many more, right? So, another, manager, you don't need to hire a manager. You can use everything. You can do everything with Zapier and Notion. Zapier, कितने लोगों को पता है? Zapier, look up बाद में जा करके, but it's a brilliant tool through which you can create workflows. You can create automations so that you don't need to do everything manually. Everything gets done automatically. Whenever someone purchases your course, your ebook, your product, automatically an email goes saying thanks for purchasing. आप type नहीं कर रहे हो उसको. It's automated. It's a workflow which is set. And that's how it works. So Zapier and Notion, brilliant tools to have a look at. Social media, Buffer and Later. These are two tools you can use to schedule your posts so that you could be out there on a date with a girl and you still have these posts going out. I'm sorry for using too many dating references. Okay, finance and accounting. You think that you need to hire a CA. You don't. I set up my own business using Vakil Search and it was seamless. I use reference for creating my invoices, for making sure the payments are done. And again, reference में I can automatically send updates. I can send reminders. Please pay at this time. Again, मैं खुद type नहीं कर रहा हूँ. It's getting done automatically. That's your reference. Payment with Stripe or Razorpay, you already know about this. It's very simple. You can set up a payment link and you can get paid. Just today, this morning, we closed a US client and we got paid for it instantly. We made a simple Stripe link and the money was in the bank. And that's how it works. Outreach. There are these tools. थोड़ा complex है, but go look it up if you want to do cold emailing. There are tools like Rocket Reach, Apollo, Lemlist, Calendly and MailChimp, which will help you to send emails, get responses, get them to book meetings, and then send them more emails with MailChimp. So the whole workflow can be automated with these few tools. And again, you can automate them, you can integrate them together with Zapier, right? That's how you do it. Okay, video editing, you don't need to learn to edit your own videos. You can hire a remote editor. So all of these things can be done very easily. Newsletter, go do it with Substack, very simple. Again, the idea is to focus on what you do best and just focus on that. Let's keep going. The last step is to scale to the moon. How does that work? So again, a few things that you need to learn when you want to scale something, right? The number one is storytelling. Storytelling is what connects people to you. I made a video where I talked about my entire journey. It has 5 lakh views, not because I was flaunting how much money I made, but because I started from a point where people can relate in first year and everything I did, and there was a storytelling element to it. And that's why people stuck around till the end. Anything great which goes viral on social media today has a great story to tell. You analyze any reel which is going viral today, it's all clever storytelling. Right? There's a character, there is a problem that the character has, there is a resolution at the end, and there is a learning which connects you with them emotionally, and you get to share that with others. Right? Hota hai? That is storytelling for you. This is the concept of 1,000 super fans. All you need to have today is not 1,000,000 followers, is not millions of people chasing you around. It is just 1,000 people who will buy what you will sell, who will go to all of the events you invite them to, who will do anything that you want them to because you have genuinely changed their life. And they want to thank you for that. And that is the idea of 1,000 super fans. All right. Again, the biggest skill that you need to have in content creation is not how to talk very well, it's not how to look pretty, it's really just your ability to sustain. Patience is key in content creation. There's a popular quote by Warren Buffett, and he says that you cannot make a baby in a month by making 9 women pregnant. Make sense? Right? There are some things which will just come with time, and you have to be okay with that. Impact will keep you going. When I first came to Bangalore 2 years ago, I went to this hackathon where I met this person who has been watching my videos on blockchain development, applied his learnings, became a developer, and got his first payment of his life in a company. He walked up to me and he told me his entire story. And I was like, that's insane. I was in my pajamas in my room in Pune making a video, did not ever think that this can impact someone to an extent that they can make their first payment. Right? He bought his first MacBook because of that. Okay. Ultimately, all you want is freedom. All you want is freedom. And that's what you do to get there. This was a 5-step process that will get you to the freedom and the happiness that you want in your life. It all started for me 4 years ago, right? I am 22 right now. I was 19 back then. 4 years ago, I just had this dream. What if I can start a podcast interviewing great people in my own college? Seniors who cracked GSOC, seniors who got a good placement, seniors who raised some funding. I would just talk to them and record this interview and make it available online. This was me in my hostel room. This was me in my hostel room just having this dream. मतलब ये exact वो नहीं है, but this is a representation of what I was thinking, right? And I used to record videos for my sister. So she used to make book reviews. She was a avid book reader, and she loved making videos. So I used to sit in my Mumbai apartment with my parents and record videos for her own YouTube channel before I did anything else. I was simply a videographer. This was me working in 2021, 2022, just getting things done. I used to have a very crazy life, routine, if you call it. Right? You might see me doing all these crazy things, but when I was working, I was all in. I used to wake up at 7 and work till 10. It was all work. I was just so passionate about recording videos, and look where it got me to today. It's my trip to Dubai. This is me in Tokyo. This is me in Singapore. This is me in Bali. This is me in Thailand. And again, I love traveling. The idea was I want the freedom in my life. So while I was doing all of this, my videos were getting views. My market up agency was getting paid every single time. And that is what you do. And that is how you get here with the 5-step solopreneur model. There's one quote which I saw somewhere which says that someone with half your IQ is making 10x more money than you because they are not smart enough to doubt themselves. Stop doubting yourself. Whatever you have learned in your experience so far, start talking about it and you'll find an audience which loves to learn about it. ये एक बहुत पॉपुलर चीज है, scared about लोग क्या कहेंगे. It's even scarier to get to the end of your life and realize that you let people rob you of the life experiences you were supposed to have because you were scared of what they would say. Make sense? So that's what I want to tell you. That's me. Thank you for listening.